thanks everybody for joining us and being here this evening. So let's get started. And we're going to start with a creative comparison. So I'd like to invite everybody to reflect on this past year, on your journey. This past year, we've had a very challenging year, all of us. And I'd like to think about the question, if this year were a toy or a game, what toy or game would it be? And for that, we're going to use Jamboard, and I'm going to ask Vicky to put the link, the Jamboard link, in the chat. If you are new to Jamboard, you will see, as soon as you access Jamboard, you'll see a vertical menu on your left-hand side. So you just have to click on the image icon, and you will just insert an image just like you do with Google Slides or Google Docs. And above the image icon, you have the sticky note icon. So you can insert a sticky note using that icon. I see slinkies. Yes, so if you need more room, you can move to the right and go to another frame in Jamboard. You do that by going to the top where you see the numbers 1 out of 4 and clicking on the right arrow. And if you want to use a sticky note to write an explanation, just go to the left-hand side menu and click on the sticky note icon and write your description, and then click off the sticky note anywhere in the screen. Yeah, just feel free to use any of the frames. And once you're done, just look at the others or read the descriptions. Okay, so I see a lot of toys or games related to putting parts together or building a puzzle, the Rubik Cube, a slinky for flexibility, Jumanji. Yes. Go ahead, Luis. So thank you everybody for sharing. We were all on the same boat as if we were all new teachers in this. So feel free to continue to insert your pictures with your metaphors or with your toys or games and explanations of why would you be that toy or game. So welcome everybody. Once again, I see a lot of familiar names in the session today. So before we get started, I'd like to go over some virtual space working agreements. The first one would be patient and professional. We are all at different levels of skills in technology, in our knowledge of thinking routines, which is what we're going to talk about. So let's meet people where they are and not where we want them to be. So let's be patient. Also, eliminate background noise or reduce it. Welcome diverse perspectives. And use your mic when we go to breakout groups, these small groups, to interact and engage with others, which is the theme of tonight's presentation. These are the outcomes for tonight. Describe how thinking routines can be used to create a safe learning environment in all settings, not only virtual settings, but also physical settings. Explore thinking routines and educational technology as tools for engagement and collaboration. And identify opportunities for adaptation and use of these thinking routines and technology in your instructional environment, virtual, physical, or even concurrent. As we move through the session tonight, I'd like to invite everybody to process your learning and thinking using a thinking routine. And for that, we're going to use the Connect, Extend, Challenge thinking routine. And I'm going to ask Vicky to post the link in the chat, and it's going to take you to a Padlet. So this is, we're going to use this Padlet as a kind of forum for everybody to share our thoughts to process our thinking and learning tonight. First, I'd like you to think about how are the ideas presented in the session today connected to what you already know, to your practices, to your knowledge, to things that you do in class. Then the extend part is what new ideas or impressions do you have or are you getting that extend your thinking in new directions? Sometimes we have an aha moment and something we hear makes us think about something we can do or how we can implement it. And finally, the challenge part is what's challenging or confusing? What puzzles or wonders do you have? So if you feel comfortable moving from tab to tab, you can leave that Padlet open and process your thinking, record your ideas, document your thinking using this Padlet. So I'd like you to take a moment to check the agenda for tonight. And after we do each of the thinking routines, I'm going to give you a moment for asking questions if you have them. And also at the end of our session tonight, we'll go back to the Connect, Extend, Challenge thinking routine to do a full circle. So let's get started with why use thinking routines in our classrooms or in our instructional settings. So thinking routines are accessible for all students. They're a great tool for differentiation. And lately I've been hearing a lot of teachers saying, oh, I'm gonna have level 4 and AP or level 5 and AP or level 1, 2, and 3 in the same classroom. So thinking routines offer you a really good way of integrating the same content and differentiating it for your students. They can be used with art, objects, literature, like poems, any kind of text, and add fictional text, non-fictional, a movie, songs, etc. So they're very, very flexible, as we will see. They promote the flow of ideas in specific ways. And those specific ways are thinking dispositions. And thinking dispositions are inclinations that we have towards certain modes of intellectual behavior. So for example, observing closely and describing, wondering and asking questions, making connections, considering different points of view, building explanations and interpretations, uncovering complexity and going deeply beyond the or below the surface of things, reasoning with evidence, and capturing the heart and forming conclusions. So routines are patterns of behavior that we adopt to help our mind form ideas, reason, and reflect. They're used over and over again, and they become habits for us as teachers and for students. And most importantly, they're flexible. So what I'm going to present here today is not a set of rules or a set of protocols that you will be able to implement. It's just ideas that you can adopt, adapt, modify, or maybe if you don't like those ones, just use different ones. So adopt, adapt, or abandon after you try them. Because that's the really nice thing about thinking routines. You can adapt them to your needs, to your students' needs, to the thinking dispositions that you want to elicit from your students. This is the artful thinking palette, and you have the 6 thinking dispositions, and below you have the different thinking routines that target those dispositions. So today we will just need paper and pencil or pen, and if you prefer sticky notes or your computer to record your thinking. Let's get started. And for the first thinking routine, we're going to use this, this image. The routine is called 5 times 2. And I'd like you to look at the image quietly for 30 seconds. And I'm going to guide your observation of this image. So look at the image. Let your eyes scan the whole picture. You might look carefully at the foreground. What captured your eye first? You might slowly move up and look into the background, off into the distance. What do you see? Then you might move your eyes slightly to the right or down to the right, and then back to the center and to the left. So look at the foreground and the background. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, to write down 5 words or phrases about any aspect of this picture. So write 5 words or phrases about any aspect of this picture. In a moment, we're going to go to breakout groups and we're going to get in pairs. And when we get in pairs, I'd like you to share your 5-word list with your partner, cross out any repeated words, and then look at the image again for 30 seconds. And together, you and your partner add 5 more new words or phrases to your list. Completely new words. So Vicky, are we, or Luis, are we ready to go into breakout groups?
Ready.
Okay. Okay. Let's, we'll give 4 questions. So let's move on just for, because I want to be respectful of everybody.
Yes.
All right. So now the next step here is I'd like you to share. We're going to do what we call a chat waterfall. And I don't know if you know that concept, but it's so that all the answers appear at once in the chat. So what I would like you to do is in the chat, just type 1 or 2 words of your individual list. So just type them, do not press enter. So type 1 or 2 words. And then I'm gonna count down from 5 and say enter. When I say enter, you just press enter and then all the words will show up at once. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. Okay, so we do have Border Patrol, Love Humanity, Family Love, Observing, Support, Celebration, Happy Crowd, Family, Wall, Graffiti, Reunion, Doors, Family, Emotion, Happy Hugs, Tall Wall, Reunions, Longing. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you to do the same. Yes, love. Thank you. To do the same with 2 or 3 words from your group list. So just type them and I'm going to count down from 5, and then we'll press enter. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. Okay. So we have picture frame, wall, togetherness, solidarity, pictures, hot, reunion, border, family, union, emotional. Yes. Okay. So the target dispositions of this 5x2 thinking routine are observing and describing, interpreting, making connections, creativity, collaboration. You can find different ways in which students can share their lists with each other. If we were in the classroom, they would just pair and share, and then come up with a new list. This routine, as I said, routines are highly flexible. So this is an adaptation of 10x2. I didn't want to do 10x2 to not take too much time here today, but when we write down 10 words, one person in the group writes 10 words, my partner 10 more words, we start crossing out similar words, and we have to come up with 10 new words. Then when we start looking more deeply at the picture. And what usually happens with students, it didn't happen as much here because we are all adults and have more like critical thinking skills. But what usually happens is that students first start with the specific, the concrete, the tangible, right? Like boy, wall, fence, family. And then as they have to think deeper and deeper to produce 10 more words, they start thinking about that abstract, about the abstract, like solidarity, reunion, love. Okay, so that's the goal of the routine, maybe to elicit vocabulary and then to go from the specific tangible to the more abstract. Okay, are there any questions that you would like to ask? So I'd like to remind everybody, to encourage everybody to use the Connect Extend Challenge routine to capture your thoughts, to share your thoughts with everybody, to make connections, extend your thinking. If ideas come to your mind, new ideas come to your mind, or you have questions, you can post them there and we'll go back to it at the end of the session. Let's go to the next thinking routine. And our next thinking routine is step inside. So using the same picture, I'd like to invite everybody to choose a person, an object, or an element in the image and step inside that point of view. And to do that, I will give you some guiding questions. So think about, what can the person or thing perceive and feel? What can the person, thing, object, or element? It doesn't have to be a person. It can be an object, a thing, a plant. What can they perceive and feel? What might they know about or believe? And what might the person or thing care about? And I'm going to give you some information about this picture. You can choose to do that with your students, or you can choose to not share anything about the picture or a piece of art you are using. Because sometimes that might prevent them from being as creative as we want. But I'm going to share that this is a picture taken at the border wall between Mexico and the US. Maybe that gives you more ideas, a new insight. So what can the person or thing perceive and feel? What might the person or thing know about or believe? And what might they care about? And we're going to go into breakout groups again. This will be bigger groups. And when you get with your group, as a group, I'd like you to decide on person, object, or element from the image that you would like to step in. Obviously, everybody in the group will have an idea, so decide on one, and then step inside that person, object, or element. Claim your group slide. We will go to a slide deck. Vicky will share the link in the chat. And in that slide deck, the slides are numbered. So claim your number slide for your group, depending on your group number. And I'd like you to write an I am poem from the perspective of that character. So if I am the policeman, I am the policeman. I see, I hear, I think, I wonder, I feel, I care about, I hope. I am the policeman. I understand, I try, I dream, I am the policeman. So are we ready to go into breakout groups? Okay, let's do it.
So just for you to think a little bit, Àngels, there are a couple of questions that were put there in the chat.
Okay.
One of them is, how long would you take for this activity in class? And
Do you mean the I am poem or the
I think the one we just did before.
The 5 times 2.
Yeah.
It depends on the students. It can be 20 minutes. I'd like to use pictures, like if we are dealing with, for example, the environment, or we're dealing with, in this case, immigration. Maybe the students have already learned some vocabulary related to that topic, and this would be a way to review vocabulary or brainstorm some vocabulary to lead them into a writing activity or into a reading activity, to some kind of warm up or brainstorm or a pre-reading activity. So it depends on your student skills and their previous knowledge.
The other question is, how would you get to the abstract part with lower levels? I guess this poem kind of answers that.
Yes, and you know, even if they're in Spanish 1 or French 1 or German 1 or Latin, you know, their thinking is there, right? So they can get, the more words that you try to elicit, the more they'll have to get to the abstract and intangible, because there's going to be a point where they run out of things like a boy, a man, a tree. So then they have to think about maybe emotions or more abstract things like feelings. I hope that answers the question. Okay, welcome back everybody to the main room. So what does the step inside thinking routine target? What thinking disposition? So you experience looking closely beneath the surface, considering different perspectives when you had to take the perspective of your person, object, thing, and empathy. So this is a thinking routine that could be used. This was just an example, could be used in different ways, or with different, not only with an I am poem, but writing a monologue, a conversation, a journal entry, whatever you would like. Once again, I invite everybody to use the Connect Extend Challenge thinking routine in the Padlet to process your learning and thinking. If you have ideas, put them in the Extend, or connections that you make with your own practice, or questions. So do you have any questions about this thinking routine? So our next thinking routine is an encapsulation thinking routine called headlines or hashtag, to adapt it to more modern time social media. So the question is, if you were to write a headline or a hashtag for this session today that captured the most important aspect that should be remembered, what would the headline or the hashtag be? And Vic is gonna put another link in the chat, and you will go to a slide deck and you can pick either a headline or a hashtag and just insert your headline or hashtag. I see a lot of people like hashtags, a few like headlines. Yeah, and do a little gallery walk and look at what others wrote as headline or hashtag. All right, so the headlines or hashtag thinking routine targets identifying, clarifying, and summarizing big ideas. So it's good to use at the end of a lesson or at the end of a unit to summarize ideas, or also could be used at the end of a reading, at the end of a writing activity, etc. So we have like 6 minutes left. So I'd like to invite everybody to go to the Connect Extend challenge and take a moment to reflect, right? Because reflection is a very important part of learning. There's no learning without reflection. So if we go to the Connect Extend challenge, I'd like everybody to take a moment to see what connections can you make between the ideas presented today and your own practice or what you already know. Also, how you extend it, how did you extend your thinking? Maybe you had an aha moment or a new idea popped up. And challenge, this is another opportunity for you to write any questions or any wonderings you have. Maybe I wonder if this would work well with my students. That's a good question. Where can I find other photographs from target language countries? Yes, this photograph was from Getty Images. So if you Google Getty Images, they have a huge bank of photographs, and you can search. Yeah, Getty Images. You can search for the like immigration or border wall or love, and you will get a lot of pictures. As for Google Slides, yes, I've been using a lot of, actually, I have to say that Google Slides has been my favorite thing to use during virtual learning. I like Jamboard, I like Padlet and other things that I use, but Google Slides is very practical, right? And I think that the fewer clicks that students have to do, the better, yes? Because today we did a lot of clicks, and probably it might have been a little annoying for some people to have to go to do so many clicks. So for students, the fewer clicks, I think the more engagement. So I allow my students to be editors. I set up rules from the beginning of the year, and we review the rules every day. So if you are group 1, you stay on group 1 slides. You don't go to any other slides unless I ask you to take a gallery walk and comment on other people's. And I have to say that I am really, really grateful to my students because they've been amazing staying on their slides and not messing up anything, but if they mess up something by accident, just undo or Control Z to go back. But yeah, just change the settings to editor. And if after your class is over, you wanna change the settings to just viewer so that you don't lose any of the information, you can do that. Technology is your challenge, just take baby steps. Yeah, social justice. Okay, yeah, I apologize if there was some trouble aligning the text. You can just give your students a text box or they can insert the text box. I tried to make everything so that everything was ready for you guys to do it. So when we deal with difficult topics, the best thing I would say is to set norms from the beginning of the class or before you have that discussion or before you do that activity. Okay, so we have a couple of minutes left to go, and just looking forward, because we are all looking forward to this summer, especially this year. So every time we go to the beach, we like to take a seashell with us, a little seashell or a little piece of glass. So I'd like to use the chat to share with everybody, what is one seashell, an insight or something that you will take with you from this session today, and just type it in the chat. And I have to say that for technology, there's a lot of, if you go to YouTube, there's a lot of tutorials that you can watch on your own, and they take you step by step on how to use Jamboard, Google Slides, Padlet, all these things. I do a lot of self-directed learning in these things. And as we wrap this up with our seashells, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me today. I hope you got some good ideas that you can implement in your classes. And I hope you have time this summer to relax and process your learnings, and good things come up from processing your thinking and learning, and you can implement them next year. And maybe I'll see you in another professional development.
Thank you so much, Àngels, for this webinar. On behalf of GWATFL, we would like to thank you for doing this. We got a lot out of this and time just flew. Thank you everyone for attending Thursday evening after a hard day and after a very, very complex and challenging year. So, and thank you for still wanting to learn more things after we're all exhausted. So big clap for Àngels. We are looking forward to seeing you in other GWATFL events. We are having our conference in November. Feel free to share the presentation. There's call for proposals. If anybody wants to present, feel free to give it a try or share it with other people as well. So thank you, everyone. Go and have some dinner. Bye. Thank you.